Everyone, give everyone a few minutes to join. Hello, hello. Hi, Olivia. Guys, I'm officially recording this call. I thought the last call was recorded, but apparently it wasn't. Even though I have them to auto record, so I'm not sure what happened. Because this like automatically started recording when oh, we got a light quilt. Stephanie, show it off. I really love those colors, how they turned out.
Yeah, it's looking good. I don't know if it's a brag or it's an embarrassment because I'm working on the last one.
No, it looks so good.
So, trying to wrap it up. I wanted to have it done before you came to Portland.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
See,
you got like a few weeks.
see if I can show and tell it. We'll see.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the that's the lofty goal.
Yeah, you got it. Okay, well, we're gonna do the same thing as last time. We're going to watch Heather's video together. Because she also could not make this call. I'm hoping she can make. Do we have? Let me look at the schedule. Oh, we have a call week 6, and then we have a call Wednesday the 17th, not Thursday. So hopefully she can make those calls, but we knew that she couldn't make these two. So, we're gonna watch her video together and kind of pause and leave you guys to ask questions. We might pause and like have extra notes or add on to what she's already saying. But yeah, she did such a good job with these videos that it would be um I don't know, worse if I tried to recreate them with a tutorial. Alrighty. Okay. Um, cool beans. So this is in your portal, guys. If you want to revisit the video and watch it again, yeah, we have her video here. And yeah, we'll start watching, and then I will, or Olivia will upload the recording of this call.
Are back for more fun
Everyone can
this
hear
week.
it.
This week, we are going to chop up this perfectly fine block and then sew back together. If you've never chopped up a block before, it can be a little intimidating at first, but I promise it's actually kind of fun and everything will be just fine. So the very first thing I like to do is line my block up on an inch line, and I like using my cutting mat for that. So I have an inch line here and an inch line here. That means that this side will be on 1/2 inches because my block, this is a small unit, it should measure 15.5 inches by 15.5 inches. So inch line here, doesn't matter which one, and then 1/2 inch line right here. If your block isn't, if it's like a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, what you can do is just kind of like have this imaginary square that's 15.5 inches on your cutting mat, and then just kind of like center it the best you can within that square. Another option that you can do, because we're getting ready to cut. So another option that you can do, you want to find the center, so you can fold your block in half, and then you'll make a little crease and do that for the other side. Little crease, and then you can also do that this way. Make little creases here. Yeah, so that would be if you want to do it that way, you totally can. Or if your block isn't quite 15.5 by 15.5, then you can use that method also. Okay,
Can I
so
request a pause?
how I am going to do it though is I'm going to measure.
Yes.
I have, and I don't know if everyone, it's normal for a sewing room. I have chalk because I use it for marking when I sew garments. I like to use my chalk also on my cutting mat like this, so I can have like a little guide of something that I can refer to every time I put another block on there and I'm trying to like trim or measure or something. So in this situation, for me, if I were making this, I would use my chalk, put a little mark on like the top left corner of like which
Yeah.
place I'm supposed to be lining up with, and put a
I'd probably
mark
put
where
it,
those centers are.
yeah, I would probably put one like bottom corner here so it's like a perfect, well, it doesn't really matter. But I actually also use washi tape for this because I don't have
Yeah.
like, I don't use chalk, but yeah, the same cutting mat, and I just do a washi tape like in this corner here just so I know like I can just quickly glance it, and then I just use like honestly a lead pencil and just like
Yeah.
mark like on like where the like I would mark right here, um like wherever the centers are, especially if your mat doesn't have the 1/4 inch, and then that way you can like quickly visualize it every time.
Yeah. It's not supposed to be accurate. It's more of a visual indicator of where I'm
Yeah.
supposed to be putting my ruler down. And if I don't see my mark, then it's way off.
Yeah, like you might just like have accidentally lined it up with like a 1/2 inch off, which would mess up everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just doing this exact thing with the pattern I'm working on next. So
7 3/4 inches from the side, because my block is about it's pretty much 15.5 by 15.5. So 7.5 or 7 3/4 inches is right here, and I am just using the my cutting mat as the guide here. I'm kind of like double checking myself with the marks that I just creased in, and so we are good there. And then another check that I like to do is if you're just measuring off the center, that should be 2.5 inches. So here's 1, 2.5. And then I also like to make sure that this line right here is, so I'm straight along here, and I just like to be straight along this line too. Okay, so we're gonna cut. Alrighty, make sure everything's still lined up.
tuck those fingers in.
Okay, just cut right down the center. Now, I do recommend you double check that you're cutting on the right, like the right measurement, and you're cutting the right block. So this is a small unit. The large unit has different measurements that you'll want to do. Yeah, okay. So same thing. I'm gonna measure 7 3/4. So 6, 7 3/4. I'm gonna check that I'm lined up with my little marks that I just made. You might not have those marks, and that's okay too. And then I just like double checking. I'm like 1.5 inches here, and then this is also square right there. All right, gonna cut again. Alrighty, so now we have 4 pieces.
Can I request a pause?
Ta-da! Okay.
You will, I don't know how experienced everyone is, but you will find that these blocks are large, which means that you need a large ruler to cut them. That also means, as you'll see in both of the times that she cuts across, she has her hand down, she's cutting, and halfway through, she repositions her hand and finishes cutting. I would highly recommend that be like a practice that everyone puts into place, because if you hold it in one spot and you're making a very large cut, it is super easy for that ruler to slide around or like kind of veer off as you keep going.
Or your rotary blade to just like decide what it wants to do.
Yeah.
Just also happened to me. You're like, oh, that was not straight.
Yeah. I've seen people put weights on their ruler too. So if you have like a little hand weight, like a little 5 pound little dumbbell, you can put it on there, and that'll like kind of help hold it in place. It wouldn't be the only way that it's holding. You would still kind of want to put your hand there, but or if you have a large ruler handle,
Yeah.
you can also use that. And since those are typically pretty long, that kind of takes care of holding it down in the first position and then her second position. But either way, just make sure to check if your ruler naturally slides, get ahead of it, figure out what works for you. What works for me is exactly what she does in the video.
Yeah. And if you have like, well, rotating, you would need a huge rotating one. So no.
Mhm. But you could turn,
So
if you have a tabletop, you could turn the entire mat around and you could do it that way. I've seen people do that.
True.
So
Mine's like taped to my
yeah.
table because I don't want that to move. Yeah. Or you could pick it up and like recenter it if you wanted to only cut away from you. And then just like kind of close it back together and then do it. I do that sometimes because I like definitely can get more accurate if I'm cutting like the first way she cut instead of like sideways.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like anytime I mess up cutting, it's like I'm doing something weird like that. It's like, or I'm cutting to myself and like, yeah.
Put these kind of just to the side. We're going to need them in just a minute. But we are going to gather our, I think it's a BG tin. We'll need 2 squares. So we're going to grab 1 square. You can cut these at the same time if you want to, or just one at a time, whatever you prefer. I'm going to just slice it right down the middle from corner to corner. And then I'm going to do the same thing.
I don't think she's ever cut her fingertip off because if you've done that, you always hold your ruler like this.
Yeah. I have never cut my fingertip off, and I very much I hold
No,
like this.
no. Once you do it, you're never gonna hold your ruler again like that.
There is a part that's coming up where she mentions how these are cut diagonally and what that means for the actual piece. As I was watching this video, I thought about, as a super beginner who's having issues, using washi tape to put it over the diagonal and cut on the washi tape would stabilize those diagonal pieces. You can also sew on either side. These are extra tips, they are not needed, but if you have issues with what's coming up, you could sew kind of like if you're doing a 2 at a time half square triangle, where you draw the line on the diagonal, you sew a 1/4 inch on either side, and then you cut on the line that you just drew. Those stitch lines would help stabilize that bias diagonal side of the triangle after cutting. lots of extra things that you
Yeah.
absolutely don't need to do. But if you find yourself constantly having issues where your pieces feel like they're stretched or way bigger, or your triangles end up in weird shapes, these are all different hacks that you could try.
Yeah. I've also heard there's tons of trimming room with this pattern, so even
Oh,
if
yeah.
it is a little wonky, then there's still plenty of trimming room.
with the other one. And like I said, you can do these at the same time to save a little time.
Yeah, highly recommend stacking any fabric you can. That saves so much time sewing.
Alright.
You could starch those
Now,
squares
the
first as well.
small unit that we just cut up and these BG10 squares, we are making a unit that is also similar to the unit that will be made from the large unit and some other squares. So make sure that you grab the correct squares and the correct unit because they are different measurements, so make sure not to mix them up. Probably do all of your small, I think we're making the small tree subunit. So grab the blocks for that, get all of those done, and then move on to the next one. Okay, so one thing to note is that we cut this triangle on the bias, so it has a bias edge now, which means that it's like a little bit more stretchy. Don't stretch it. Because then it will just like warp your fabric a little bit and can cause some like puckering and some waves when we're sewing. So yeah, definitely don't stretch it. Just kind of handle with care, very gently. What we're going to do is we're going to take one of these and fold them in half and make a little crease, and this just marks the center. We'll do that for 2 of them. All right, and then we're just going to take one of these. We can set the other ones aside, and then we're going to find the center of these 2. And the easiest way really is just to fold and then make a crease to mark the center. Okay, we're gonna do that for all the sides. I'm just gonna do 2 now because sometimes when I iron it in the next step, it kind of irons out my creases. So I'm just gonna do the 2 sides first. All right, so I'm going to line up these creases. So we're lining up the centers, and then I'll probably stick a pin in there, and then I'm just gonna take those to my sewing machine and just sew right along the edge. You can add a pin here too, and that will really make sure that you're not stretching this, because really the main thing with this block is we don't want to stretch these triangles. Okay, I'm just gonna sneak a pin in here just to make sure I'm sewing it in the center.
This is also a very good time to use
here
glue.
and sew here, and then you can
Glue
add a pin
basting.
if you want there and there, but just be sure not to stretch these.
Yeah, what Olivia's saying is that you can just add a dot of glue instead of a pin here and just run your iron on it real quick and it'll keep everything in place.
Well, even
Um,
if you wanted to do like the entire side, because all of these should, I'm pretty sure she says, to press to the side and not open.
Yeah,
So if you're really wanting to prevent like these stretched triangle pieces, you can do like a very, very like
thin
light
line.
glue, yeah, light thin glue line along the side of the quarter piece, and then
Yeah.
you put the triangle on top of it, kind of tap it with your iron to dry it up a little bit, and then sew your 1/4 inch seam like normal.
And when we say glue, we mean Elmer's glue, like kids Elmer's glue that you can that
Mhm.
just washes out in the laundry.
If you use a very light hand with it, because I've seen people say like, just know that if you use glue, you're gonna have to wash it first before you give it away. I use glue for a quilt all over recently, and I used such a light amount for what I needed, and you could barely even tell that there was glue,
Yeah.
like maybe 1 dot of glue that had hardened a little bit, but
Yeah, because technically it should be inside your seams.
yeah.
Yeah.
You can add a pin if you want there and there, but just be sure not to stretch these. All right, so I sewed these and then I pressed toward the triangles. Sometimes it can get, let me zoom in a little bit. sometimes the pressing can like be a little funky at the ends just because you're like kind of tucking it under, but it will be fine here where it matters because we're going to trim these dog ears off. So if these look like this one looks really odd, it doesn't matter. We're just going to trim it off. All right, so to trim these blocks, all we're going to do is take our ruler and then just line it up along the top edge right here. We don't have to measure anything, just line it along the top edge and then just trim that dog ear off and trim that one off. And then we'll do the same thing for this side. Trim that one, trim that one. Okay, we can just throw those away. So now we just have like nice straight line here, straight line here. And then we'll grab our other two triangles, fold it in half, make a crease to mark the center. And I'm being careful not to stretch these at all. All right, and then when I find the center here, instead of adding, just because sometimes they're like ideally not, but sometimes there could be like a little bit of variability here. So instead of lining it up here, I'm gonna line it up there at this seam. And then I'm gonna make a crease here to mark the center. Same thing with the other side. And make a crease there. And then line that up and I'll add a pin there, line this up, add a pin, and again, just let these like go through your sewing machine, don't pull or tug in any way. And you can add a pin so that you're not like tempted to like accidentally stretch it. So anyway, we'll sew this here and that here, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so we are done with that. I sewed on the last two pieces right here, and my block should measure 13 inches by 13 inches. It's like not exact, but it's very, very close. Now we are going to trim this block, and we're going to trim it to 12.5 by 12.5 inches. We can do this a few different ways. I have a 12.5 by 12.5 ruler, which is really handy.
Convenient.
And if I was trimming it this way, I would just center the block in the middle of it and then trim around the edges. So I would just trim all around the edge. Not everyone has that, so I'm going to show you what I do. I like to line it up on an inch line. So I have an inch line here and an inch line here, and then also there and there. And since it's starting at 13 inches and we're trimming down to 12.5, that means we can just trim off 1/4 of an inch off of each side. So 1/4 inch here, 1/4 inch here, there, and there. If your block is a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, make an imaginary 13-inch square on your cutting mat and then center your block within that, even if it's like overhanging a little bit here or there, or it's like doesn't quite reach, just center it in that imaginary 13-inch block. And then you can do what I'm getting ready to do. So next, I am going to use my cutting mat. I know we usually like line up things with our rulers, but I'm using the lines of my cutting mat for this trimming. So I know it's like 13-inch right here, and I just need to come in 1/4 of an inch. So I'm not measuring off of the block, I'm measuring off of the cutting mat. So I'm just on 1/4 of an inch away from my outer edge here. And I'm just gonna trim that off. And then I'll do the same thing up here. So here's my inch line. at the top, I'm just coming down 1/4 of an inch and trimming that off. Okay, now you have a couple options. If it's easy for you to like work on this side of your cutting mat or this side, or you have like a rotating cutting mat, then you can just leave your block where it is and do the exact same thing. Trim off 1/4 of an inch here, trim off 1/4 of an inch here. But I know a lot of people, like, it would be hard for me to do that right now. So I'm gonna pick my block up and I'm going to rotate it. And
This is where having like a washi tape mark of where exactly she had it last time would be really helpful. Like if I were doing this, I probably would mark this bottom corner and then I would mark exactly where the like 12.5-inch lines are on my mat with like pencil or something.
edges that I cut, I'm gonna line up again on a inch line. So here's the inch line, here's the inch line, and these are the edges that I cut. And next, I'm just going to measure 12.5 inches. So here's where I'm starting. Here's the 1/2 inch that I'm gonna be using, so 12.5 inches this line, and then I'll be using 12.5 inches this 1/2 inch line. So I'm just gonna cut there. And then the last one, 12.5 inches from that bottom inch line. All right, so that's it. We can double check our unit should measure 12.5 inches, and it does, so we are golden. And this is the small tree subunit, I believe is what it's called. And we are also making the large tree units. It's a subunit because we might do something else with this block. So that's why it's a subunit, because we're not quite done with it yet. Yeah, so after, you'll just repeat that with the rest of your blocks here. I think we call them quarter blocks or small quarter blocks. We just repeat with those, and then when you're all done with those, then move on to the large ones and make the large tree unit. So the biggest takeaways for this block are just be real careful when you're sewing these not to stretch your diagonal bias edges here, and then just make sure that you're trimming your blocks to the right size. So the smaller ones are trimmed to a different size than the larger ones. Yeah, and that's it. You cut up some blocks. You did well. Nice work. And you sewed bias edges and you didn't have a lot of puckering. So go you. And that's it for this week. We'll see you next time. Happy sewing.
Yeah, I think
Yay.
the trimming size thing, typically with square and a square blocks, which we call them that. I don't know if you've looked at it and been like, that looks like something else. I call it square and a square block because an economy block is another outside. So it's technically like 3 layers. Just random information. Anyways, with square and a square blocks, typically you trim them where there's only 1/4 inch on the outside of your little points of your center square. And I feel like that would probably be something if you're like, oh, I've got this. Like I've sewed these before, it's fine. And you go to trim it and then you look back at the pattern and you realize I wasn't supposed to trim it that much. Just make sure to look at the trimming sizes for both of these. You don't want to cut off something that you can't replace.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, then there's a lot of trimming room with these. Unlike someone mentioned the button-up quilt, so.
So many people are scarred from the button up. If you were not here for button up, it was a lot of sewing,
square and
a very small amount of time that we had allotted for it.
There was also just a lot of square and a square, which they're not the most fun to sew because they're just like with the bias edge and like you need to pin and you need to line things up, and it's not just like sewing two squares together where like you can just line up edge to edge and it be like
Yeah.
just through your machine. This is like, you know,
It's
more
also
involved.
a lot of start and stop for one singular
Yeah.
block.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of like running it through the machine before it's actually done. And then once you've done that, you're like, okay, that's one block, 100 to go.
Yeah. So that's why we offered a baby size for that one only.
And we tried to encourage people to do the baby size without giving away what the design was or the elements inside of it.
Yeah, but all the throws came out like awesome. So I really like that pattern, whether it's a pain in the butt to sew or not. Yeah. Any questions? I have trauma from it. Oh my God.
The way people talk about that quilt pattern and the experience of sewing it at the time that everyone was doing it is so funny. I mean, I know
Well,
that it was probably such a like, oh my goodness, when will this ever end? So like I'm not discounting that, but it's super funny. It's called
yeah,
Buttoned Up. It
fine.
is
I'll show it.
is it available? Is it available in your shop right now?
I
It should
don't
be.
know.
I don't know if
Yeah.
it's gotten to a point where it's like exceeded the time frame of exclusivity.
Yeah. I don't know if it has. If it has, we have not promoted it at all because I don't remember posting anything about it.
It may
I'll
be
send it.
the very last one,
Yeah,
like
like
the
next,
oldest
I
one
think.
that's available.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Yeah, I'll send you. I'll send everyone a picture of that. Someone, I just put it on my story. Someone like made a beautiful one that I really love, and I posted on my stories. My
yeah,
story.
maybe it was Carrie's.
Um, it was definitely. I think it was a long arm.
Yes, it was mine.
Oh,
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
because it had just been finished long arming.
Well, yes, it sat in my pile. I think I sent her 9 quilts to long arm, so she's been working through them.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, I
Yeah.
posted my stories. I love the colors in that one.
Thank you. I feel like it's a funky quilt, but it turned out awesome because we used gold thread.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And I never really experiment with thread. I am out of thread right now. Speaking of thread, I don't know what it is, but my machine just hates any thread that's not Aurifil. Like I don't care what people say about Aurifil. Like I have tried other threads and I always have issues. And it's probably me. I don't know. But I have been trying to use this other thread and it says it's 50 weight, but it feels thicker than like my Aurifil 50 weight. And my tension was all messed up. I like quilted this whole baby quilt and like I turned it over and I had to unpick it all. But luckily, the tension was so off that it was so loose that all I had to do was just like just like pull it and it was like so easy. I was like, well, this is best case scenario if I have to unpick. And I was doing like really chunky grid, like just like a fat grid. So it was fine. But anyways, the only Aurifil I have right now is like this bright teal. So like this is what I've been piecing with, this like bright teal color. So I think someone was like, what do you guys recommend piecing? And I'm like, usually I just use like muslin or like whatever the basic gray or whatever I have on like just a neutral color. Yeah, but no, this is what I'm piecing with right now. So hopefully you can't see
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I try to stick with like a warm off-white color.
Yeah,
I think
that's
other
kind of what
people
I
do
do.
like a light dove gray or
That's kind of
something.
what I do, yeah. I usually just grab several and then like just stick to one for like until I run out and then switch to it. I don't really care. But no, as soon as I switch back to this thread, my machine magically was fixed.
Hmm.
So I like played with the tension. I played with like the settings and like was like troubleshooting so much, and then it just my machine was hating it. So it just does really well with this thread.
We have the same machine and I've never used that thread. I use literally whatever I have on hand. I am not picky at all. But I currently have a small cone of like a Coates and Clark, like super budget piecing thread.
Yeah.
And it's fine. I've never had an issue with it. Though I
Yeah, I
also
mean,
do
like,
not
what does
take care of
Christina
mine.
say? Christina's like, whatever's at Walmart, that's what I eat.
Yeah, basically. That's what mine is. It's just I had to order it from a shop because I wanted such a large amount of it. And I had been using like my tiny thread spools from Joann's,
The one we,
but
oh.
we rip in peace for that.
Yeah, I don't want to spend $12 on a spool thread. No, but here we are. Metler, that's what I was using. Oh yeah, it's so beautiful. I love it. It reminds me of like Alice in Wonderland or something. Yeah, let me see what thread it was. It's Metler. Like I silk finish. I like actually like the thread. And like
Yeah.
I feel like it doesn't have that much lint. Like I was like, oh yeah, this is like a good like this is just my new thread. Um Machine hated it. Hated it. So I actually don't even know what it's 40 weight, so it actually is thicker than my 50 weight. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, but I didn't like piecing with 40 weight, long story short, and my machine also didn't like it. But I wonder if I tried this with 50 weight, if I would like it more. Like, what is this? This is also 40 weight. I have like two big, I've Gutterman.
Yeah, I've used that too. I mean, like I said, I have never had issues with thread, so I kind of like everything. Um, but that one's really good because it's like, in my experience, I haven't looked at prices on it. It has been relatively affordable.
Yeah, RFL's pretty expensive, but I don't know. Yeah, I sew enough to. It's fine. I'd rather like not deal with the headache of switching my tension and doing all that every for new thread.
This is the name of the one that I got. Well, it's not white, but
3,000 yards.
I didn't want to buy it again anytime soon.
That's where I'm at. Like, I wish RFL had like giant ones. They probably do. That's what I should look for. Did you get 50 weight?
No, I don't remember. I'm pretty sure
Oh,
it was.
they do have big cones. This is what I need to get. See, how much is yours? $12.
Where's the picture? I want a picture of the.
Well, this one that I just found is like $40 for that.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
30.
no. Yeah, it's somewhere between like 10 and $20 for this large thing, depending on like where you buy it.
So this is like double, if not potentially triple the price of RFL for 3,000 and 3,200 yards.
The thread weight might be. There's no way. I'm trying to see what the thread weight is. 30.
That's thick.
It doesn't feel like that though.
I mean, are you sure?
There's no way. 35 weight. So I don't know. I don't know what it is. The cone itself doesn't have anything on it like that could identify. from what I can tell that I'm seeing.
I think I'm just gonna order this big cone for $45.
Oh my gosh.
Oh wait, no, this cone size is 6,000 yards. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That'll
Yeah.
like last me forever.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like my 3,000 one is gonna last me forever. I mean, even the ones that I used to get, those were like I think 1,000 or 1,500 or something, and it took me forever to run out of those.
Yeah.
Apparently, I don't
Um,
sew that much, so
yeah, I mean, yeah. Um, anyways, did you guys have any questions about the video she posted or the video she made?
yeah.
No
Sorry about the
questions? I
thread
mean,
tangent.
she did a really good job of explaining everything, so I didn't really have much to add.
Yeah,
Yeah, no questions.
I think next week. Let me pull up what's coming up.
We don't have a call next week.
No, yeah, that's why I was gonna look at it and see. Um, yeah, the information that's in the pattern for next week is pretty straightforward. I mean, it's nothing too intense that a lack of a call next week is going to be stressful, I believe.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Trying to think
I
of
have
it.
nothing else to add to the pattern. I feel like everything that I would have said, either I already said it or she said it in the pattern or the video.
True. I agree. So did anyone start the book? Does that, I mean, I know several people are telling us it's weird. I started the book and I'm on like page 10 right now, so I have nothing to add, but yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, I didn't read the description well enough, and I don't think I did either. Like, I think I did, but I don't think I fully did. To be fair, I don't think the description really did a good job describing what the book was about. Um, but I'm excited to get into it. I don't know, it might be a weird so long book, but here we are.
Yeah. I didn't read the description super thoroughly, but I do know that I've read another book by this person before. So I'm kind of like trusting that it's going to be good because I liked the other one that I read. So,
By her B. Schwab.
mhm.
Yeah, I pretty much love. I read all of her.
Poof,
What?
it's gone.
Gone. Magic. I want to say like magical. Hold on a second. I read
Yeah,
all of her.
I think I may read Memory Collectors very soon. That one looked really good. I was really hoping that that one would be one that won just because of the idea of it, the
Yeah,
concept.
yeah. I want to read that one. I already have an atmosphere to read. I bought that one too. I read all of V. Schwab's Shades of Magic series, which I absolutely love. Those were like all 5-star reads for me. It's a trilogy. Um, Loved. Atmosphere sounds really good. And then I also read the Immaculate Conception, which was also very weird. And I'm glad that one didn't win, to be honest. That was a weird read. I mean, I liked it, but again, I put a review in the review channel, and I was like, I think I hated it, but also liked it at the same time. Like I don't know how to explain it, but the whole time I was like disgusted and weirded out, and like the character was like not really likable. but I couldn't put it down. And like, I think whenever I can't put a book down, then it's a good book, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if I'm intrigued enough to keep reading, there's some merit to the book somewhere. I don't know.
I've definitely read some books like that where it's like you get through, you're reading it and you turn the page and you're like, why am I even reading this? It makes,
Yeah.
I should not be enjoying this.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just like really intriguing, and I really wanted to know where the story went. It was an unpredictable story, like, in my opinion. Um, I also just read the book The Reformatory, if anyone's heard of it. It's about a boys' reformatory school in Florida during like the Jim Crow era. And it's kind of about like ghost and a little bit like historical fiction. Um, really good read. Really good read. Highly recommend if you're looking for. It's a little bit of a heavier read, but it has a happy ending, so
Which,
I'm going
since we're
I'm
talking
gonna
about
stop
books,
recording as well.
since we're